Welcome back. If you're watching or watching after the fact, appreciate it. We are back in action over here. It's been a good 4 weeks off for me. Got my friend Anthony Carter here today. We're going to discuss a little bit about AFL and kind of talk about his docuseries he has coming out in the next couple of days. Anthony, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going great, Matt. Thank you for having me. And yeah, we're almost at the end of the season and still things are crazy. But other than that, everything is cool. Hope you're doing well.
You're going to be ready for a break for sure when this ends.
You have no idea.
So we'll get into everything soon, man, and I'm sure we'll have some questions popping up. There was a recent rumors that dropped today, and we'll talk about that. But in the meantime, I mean, last time I spoke with you was actually the last time I had an episode of this show. So it was episode 8. This is episode 9. That was back, I think, like May 12th or something. So you were actually the last guest I had on this show as well. So welcome back again, man. How are things your way? Any new developments? Anything happening besides the AFL fun?
Sure. Yeah, it's great to be back. As far as everything, just kind of just staying with this, staying up to date on news, doing more investigative work, looking not just arena football, but just in general, looking at story ideas. After this AFL season, we'll start to get more involved with WNBA. I've covered a Liberty game so far this season. Haven't done as many as I wanted to, especially with all the everything going on with the AFL. So that's kind of took a lot of my time. But after this season, after Friday, I'll get back into the New York Liberty, which is the closest team to me, for X1 Media. So I'll get back into that. But so that's really just the latest going on.
Understood. Now I want to ask you more about your companies and then your groups as well, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But first off, man, so hold on. Let me say good evening to DeMarcus. Hey, DeMarcus, how you doing, man?
Good evening, DeMarcus.
First off, let's talk about this ArenaBowl 33 change of location rumor, as well as Chris Chetty being replaced or taken off the leadership group there with the AFL. Is there anything, I guess, can you sum this up and tell us what your developments are so far?
Yeah, so as far as this, saw the report, I think this was late last night. And so I've been emailing American Dream, a couple of different league sources about the situation. So far, everything from what I know so far is that they are saying, as far as the AFL, they are refuting the report, saying this is not true. I also talked to Billings Outlaws owner Stephen Titus, who said that they went from Montana to Jersey. So they said they're playing in this game. Michael Kelly, who does a great job covering the Albany Firebirds, he also spoke with the Firebirds owner, who also said that they're playing in this game. So as far as we know right now, this game is still going on. It seems that the owners and league officials are refuting that report that the American Dream, that the report said the American Dream has pulled out and Chetty was voted out. The Arena Football League just posted an update on their website, and Chetty was the author of that post. So it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. I also messaged Chris Chetty as well, from Chris Chetty, without sharing exactly everything we talked about. He basically said that the report is false, and you kind of saw that in that press release that he sent out. So from what we know right now from league officials and from the team owners is that it appears that there's nothing to that story, at least from right now. I'm not sure if anything will change in the next 48 hours or so, but from what we know right now, it doesn't appear that that report is true, and the game is still going on as planned on Friday.
So the game is in the American Dream. Where is that at? I didn't research that beforehand. What state, city?
American Dream, it's in East Rutherford, New Jersey. So it's a little bit just outside of New York City. It's the second biggest mall in the US. So
Wow.
yeah. So, and the American Dream, they actually have, if you go online and there's like tours that people have done and photos, it's a huge venue. They have rides and amusements. It's insane. So I'm can't wait to see what it looks like on the inside. But really, the American Dream, they're expanding to be more of a sports venue. So this wouldn't be the first time a sports event has happened in there. They've had hockey events in the past. The Harlem Globetrotters announced they would have a residency inside of there. So it appears to be like a growing sports attraction. And like this image that you see there, they're going to lay the turf down. As at last I checked, the turf has been laid down. So it'll be set up. They're going to have those seats on those different levels for people to watch. So that's what we'll see right now. So it's a significant move for the AFL, and I think American Dream, because I think this is a situation where this is because that they're trying to branch into the sports world. This could put the AFL on a map on a good scale. And you're going to have people walking in and out the mall that may be able to peek through and see. And so I don't know what the setup will look like, because I know that you still have to buy tickets. But I still think it's a good attraction, especially for a Friday night as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, I wanted to really make it clear to everyone listening right now that we did not come on here to bash the AFL. We didn't come on here to talk bad about them. What we're talking about is real information. And people can perceive that good or bad however they want. But I just want to clear that up before, I don't think there's anything productive about coming on and just being super negative about everything. And that is why I'm glad I got you to come on, and that you wanted to come on, because, I mean, you're a very fair reporter. Whether you're for or against it, I can tell that you research the information, and I respect that, man. So props to you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's what you have to. And I always say on any show that I'm on, because a lot of people they may not know, and that's fine. There's nothing against them for not knowing, but I'm in the middle with everything. I'm not on one side. I don't favor one side. I don't favor the league. I don't favor the teams or players. I'm just reporting on what's going on, whether it's good or whether it's bad. Unfortunately, of course, it comes off that we're favoring the bad side, but the reality is that that's just been the situation with the Arena Football League all this season. Is I'm just reporting on what's going on. So yeah, that's all I'm doing.
Yes, sir. I understand, but I know that looking at like what dropped this morning, you could have easily ran with that and just went ahead and pushed it and got some engagement, got some people to comment, whatever. But you hit the ground running, dude, and you found out the truth. While everybody was tweeting and posting and resharing this, you actually went to the source, got the information, and even like the photos here, I feel like a lot of this is a result of you being on the ground trying to help them out and get this info out properly.
Yeah, you have to, from what I've learned, and being as a TV reporter, former TV reporter, and someone that's in currently day-to-day job as a public relations specialist, you have to quadruple check everything. Especially something reading that article, that was a very damaging article. And not throwing shade on the writer or anything, because I don't know him, I don't know his background, so I'm not going to criticize the writing. But looking at that, I was like, wow, this is serious, and a lot's on the line. And we're talking about teams, fans bought tickets, everything. So I want to make sure that this is true. We have to independently confirm. So I reached out to American Dream. Haven't heard back yet, but I spoke to Stephen Titus, who has always been open with sharing information with us. So shout out to Stephen Titus. And he told me that from what they know, they're still playing. Again, Michael Kelly confirmed on his end. So, he's a journalist too. So he knows the process that you have to independently confirm everything. And then I reached out to Chris himself, and of course other people in that league office. So yeah, you have to, because it's always good to know, because someone can always feed you the wrong info or purposely try to sabotage someone else, or maybe not have all the details that you would need for the story.
Yes,
so
sir.
that's all I had to do.
I'll say this, man. Coming from last year's merger debacle, it was hard to find that type of information. So that's why I said I got a lot of respect for you, because if you were just farming for engagement, you could definitely get it very fast.
And what's crazy about all that, and then of course we'll go into it later on, and I won't dive much into it now. But even with everything that happened with the previous league management, there's still, in some cases, we still have to say allegedly or claim, because we have to be fair to Lee Hutton. We have to be fair to Travell Gaines, anyone else in that circle, because they never said anything, or they never confirmed or denied it. So it is very, very hard. And it's like such a thin line that you have to, because legally you don't want to get yourself in trouble where you have
Exactly.
to. You don't want a court case or cease and desist type of situation. So you don't want that.
Agreed. I've been able to avoid those myself as well. So
that's good.
Keep
You're
on
doing great.
That way.
You're undefeated.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I guess in terms of the Chris Shetty stuff, is there anything you can share regarding that? And I understand, whatever you want to share on that. People right now are looking for a direction. And from what I found, there's very few neutral. It's either, man, this league sucks, or man, it's okay, they'll get it together. So, I mean, what can you fill more in on that piece of the information?
Yeah, I think all I can say right now, at least from what I know, and I try to be as open as I can. But yeah, it's from what I know so far is that this game is still going on as planned. Looks like they refuted those claims. I can't tell you if that really changed. Maybe part of that report was true and something happened in the last 24 hours or so. So I don't know if that happened. But all I can say is that, the report, according to Chris Chetty and everybody in that circle, it's not true. So, and the game is going to go on, and we'll be there, and we'll let everyone know if it's playing or not. And it's going to be on CBS Sports Network as well. I checked the channel lineup, and it's still listed. Gotcha. I know that was a problem early on in the league, if anyone remembers that. But so it's still listed, and American Dream is still selling tickets, so that's a positive thing, I guess.
Yes, sir. Before we move on, I had a question from James. James said, so the mall still has not called back to confirm, ? Any truth to the report that if the mall is not paid in full prior to the game Friday night, that the mall will pull the plug?
So to part of that, I do have one of my insiders, I like to call them. He actually called the mall, and the mall told him that the game is still going on. As far as if they have been paid, I don't know if that part of the report is true, if they've been paid or not been paid. So I really can't speak to that. And I haven't gotten anything back from anybody regarding that, so I can't say. But from what I've seen, the mall is still selling tickets. They're setting up the field. It looked like I actually just got a photo from Steven Titus that oh wow, the field looks good. So yeah, they laid the field down. So he just sent me a photo. So I'll post that later. So it looks like they got paid if that was the case.
Got to be doing all that. I mean, that's a lot of stuff to do, especially in one day, knocking it out.
Right.
So I'll definitely share that out when you post it later. Guys and girls at home, if you're watching, I'll have his socials in the notes, and then they're rolling at the bottom of the screen in turn. So when we get back to it right now, they're rolling at the bottom. But I mean, if you can find Arena Insider on basically anywhere, and that's how you can keep up with Anthony, or you can see his personal or professional account as well. Either way, there's multiple places to keep up with Anthony and his team.
Absolutely.
So I had another question, and you may not know the answer to this, and that's okay. Without traditional seating, what's the capacity there?
I can look that up. Maybe I'll do a quick article and kind of do some backstory. I don't know that off the bat. So I can't tell you, unfortunately.
Yeah, no problem. I didn't think so. And it from the pictures, it's really hard to tell. You can't really tell how the seating is going to be set up.
Someone did a tour recently. I want to say that was around the 11th of walking through American Dream. So if you're able to look at that, you can kind of get a guesstimate. So check that out. I don't remember which account that was. If you look up American Dream Mall tour or something, I'm sure it'll pop up. So you can kind of see. It was cool to look at. So I'm not sure how many it can hold.
It'll be sweet once it's all together and the fans are actually there. I've been seeing a lot of social accounts posting about like a bus is going that way for the game, and they're doing a bunch of cool stuff. I'm all for them. I mean, if they can really pull this off, that's what I hope. But to be honest with you, since the get-go, I kind of let it go, man. I couldn't keep up with it. It was too much. My next question rolls into that. I mean, let me ask you this. If you could summarize what's happened so far with Arena Football League this year to someone who has no idea what's going on, how would you do it?
Boy, and in like one word or
no, just
or like a
I mean,
sentence?
just like I come up to you, hey Anthony, what has gone on with the AFL this year? You know
I'll say all
what's
the
your
above or something.
E.
Anything I can think of. I mean, I'll answer the best way I can. I think is one of those. I've always said before the start of the season, I always thought the AFL should have taken a pause. I tweeted that out like maybe a couple weeks before because I just saw how unprepared a lot of these teams appeared to be at the time. Like websites weren't set up, contact information wasn't up, tickets, none of that was available. And a league wasn't getting back to me for just general interviews. So I'm like, this doesn't seem right. So I think I would say probably rushed. I would say this season was, and nothing was set in stone. I think there's more to it, but I'm not going to make assumptions or anything like that. But yeah, but I do. I'm amazed that G6 was able to continue to push this to keep going to get to this point, because I think a lot of people like wrote this off halfway through. I think it's fair that you would write that off halfway through, considering what was going on. So I do think that it's impressive that they was able to at least keep it steady. But I'm not sure what'll happen after Friday. I think that's the biggest question mark, despite everything that's been going good with the playoffs and being on TV, everything like that. But I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions around that.
Yes, sir. Agreed. And in my opinion, and what I know, I do know some people that are playing on a few arena teams or indoor teams. This isn't the only league that's got some controversy. There is other stuff occurring. And so that's why I say I really don't want to hate on any one league, but it's just good to talk about it. And I say that again because I just want the people listening to understand, like, hey, we're not trying to feed into the negativity. We're just having this open, long-form discussion about what is going on.
Just breaking it all down. And I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say misinformation, but a lot of just different details and reports out there. So we're just trying to simplify it all in one. I think that's in the best way that we can.
Yes, sir. Understood. From my gathering of knowledge probably 2 months ago, what I assumed is that most of the negativity from the league at the beginning was blamed on Commissioner Hutton. Is that correct in that assumption?
I think that's fair. I think because he was the head and he was the leader. And I think because as the leader, you're supposed to take responsibility, whether good or bad, and you have to be in front of it, whether good or bad. And yeah, I think because he was the leader, because he was the face of restarting the league, I think that's why he probably, got a lot of the blame for that.
Yes, sir. Gotcha. I just wanted to make sure because truly I have not kept up with it, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I have. What I do know is from talking to you and a few people amongst that realm of things. But yeah, just wanted to check in. So whenever Hutton left, was it just one individual that took his place, or was like him and his staff released and more people, called up?
I think from what went down, I know Travell resigned. Travell Gaines, CEO, he resigned, and essentially G6 Sports because G6 Sports owns the rights to the logo and the overall identity of the league. And according to them, Lee Hutton never paid for those rights or anything like that. So for them, legally, they pushed Lee out and voted Jeff Fisher in to kind of lead the league and kind of get it back on the right track and kind of save teams and kind of get things under control. So yeah, that's essentially what happened. G6 kind of took over because according to Chris Chetty in that beginning press conference when they were announcing Jeff Fisher as commissioner or interim commissioner, Chris Chetty essentially said they took a step back and they thought that Lee was going to purchase the rights to the logo, and I guess never did. And I can confirm that because looking on the United States Trademarks website, you can see G6 actively still owns the identity to the league. And then you see a separate application submitted by Lee Hutton for the logos, but that the application is still pending. It's never been assigned to someone to examine it. So,
Gotcha.
and that happened about a couple months later since they announced it. So I think that G6 was right in that aspect as far as owning the identity. So it's essentially kind of, I don't want to say backdooring, but kind of like backdooring Lee and moving Jeff Fisher in.
Understood. Yeah, that the trademark stuff does take a while. I know I had a former podcast, the XFL Insider, and I had it trademarked, and I was waiting. And before I had to switch names due to the merger, that application still wasn't approved, and I'm not even worried about it anymore. But heck, I paid like $600 just for it to hang out for a few months.
But
regardless,
drawing and the styles, all of that. Yeah, I didn't realize how much goes into a trademark.
So yep. Once they examine it, they'll contact you for anything new, and that's where mine was hanging out at. And even like last month, and at this point, I mean, I'm not doing it anymore. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to clear all that up, and I appreciate you kind of going through some of that stuff, because I know now that's like way old news for you. That's stuff of the past.
Yeah. Sure.
Another question, and this you can answer honestly, and if you're not comfortable, you don't have to answer this question. Okay. Sure. How would you grade the league this year overall? I mean, if you give it a letter grade, A through F, kind of what would be your opinion on how they did, how they're doing, and from there?
I think not that I wouldn't want to answer the question. I think it's kind of tough to put a letter grade on it, only because there was a change of management halfway through. So I think had it been the same management all the way through, I think it'd be fair to give it a letter grade. So it's kind of hard to put that on it. And then I think there's, sure, like you mentioned earlier, sure, the league had some things to do with the situation, but I think a lot of the teams also weren't prepared, or they just kind of not rushed, but they just weren't ready. So I think a lot of teams, some of the teams that folded were at fault too. Like if you don't have an owner, you probably shouldn't continue on with the league, so things like that. So I don't know if I can give a grade at this point.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate the honesty, and I wouldn't want you to do that or put yourself in a position you don't want to. I was just curious kind of what you thought, being one of the front and center reporters on this topic.
Yeah.
I can tell you,
I don't think I would give it an A. I can tell you that. But other than that, sure.
They have continued on the game, and that has been epic for some of the fans. So that's the best thing out of my view so far seeing is the teams that are still going, the teams that finished up the season, they've got fans. They've got people to support them. So, I mean, they're trying something to make them happy. So I can respect that.
Right. Yep.
So I'll tell you, man, whenever this last summer, when I heard the Voodoo was coming to Louisiana, I was really big on trying to cover that team. And I had contacted some people that knew some people, and the coach there was supposed to reach out to me, and I never heard anything. I tried a few times through the other end of things, through the proper channels. I still couldn't hear anything. I will tell you, after that, I was kind of concerned that something wasn't legitimate. And kind of how you said nobody would get back to you for interviews. I mean, I tried as well to go through the proper channels, and I don't know if I was contacting the wrong people or what, but I was excited about the Louisiana team. It's about 3 hours from me where they were originally, but I was excited and was going to do a show for them, but it just never came to fruition.
Yeah, and that's something I'll dive into more in a docu-series about that. And yeah, I don't think it was just you. I think Louisiana is one of those examples of teams that just weren't ready. Yeah. And were just kind of didn't have, I don't think they had a lot of answers on their end looking from the league. So I think that essentially there was just a disconnect in communication all around. So before all that happened, that's why I said before the season the AFL should shut down and make sure everything is in place. Communication,
I remember this.
logos, and all of that. You got to make sure everything you can do a proper rollout and make sure it looks good. But Voodoo is one of those teams. I'm like, they don't have a website set up or all of that. So yeah, it's unfortunate. And then relocating from Lake Charles to Lafayette and all of that last minute, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yes, sir. I agree. And after I saw them relocate, I was kind of happy about not being contacted back, just to be honest with you. To build a show and to follow a team, it takes a lot of energy. And that's it. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that they didn't waste my time with that. And hopefully we'll see that team return someday to somewhere south here, something down here where we can watch. I think the closest team to me right now would be Orlando, maybe somewhere in Texas. But
where do you stay?
I'm on the coast of Mississippi. So
okay,
about 40 minutes from New Orleans, give or take.
South. Okay, got you.
Yeah, I'm a lot more south.
The closest team to me would be the Firebirds.
How far is that from you?
The Albany is a good 5 hours, I would say.
Gotcha. Yeah. I've never even been to Albany.
There's with all due respect to everybody that lives in Albany, there's not much out there. I lived in Rochester and I would go to Albany for work, and maybe I haven't gone through much of Albany, but from when I drove through, I was like, oh, okay. This is cool.
What's up, Snowman? Snowman said good evening. What's up, Snowman? How are you?
Hey, good evening, Snowman.
James asked another question. James, I'm going to wait till the end of the show to ask that question, okay? It's kind of related to Dream, the mall again, American Dream.
Okay, I can see it, and I'll look it up as we're talking.
Sounds good. So I guess, let's just hop on into your docuseries. I was wondering, are you cool with me playing your trailer that you had on your page?
Sure. And to answer James' question, American Dream is right next to MetLife. From what I just Googled, it's like a minute. So it's probably in a parking lot. So there you go. But yeah, you can play it. Sure.
Sweet. No problem. I just want to give people a little glimpse of what you got coming out. So it's a 4-part series, and you're basically documenting the ups and downs of this league so far. Can you kind of describe it for me a little bit before I play the trailer?
Absolutely. Yeah. Basically just breaking down from the beginning from we start off, I could tell you, since part 1 will drop Friday, we start off from what happened a little bit, what happened from what caused them to fold in 2019 to coming back and kind of taking us through leading up to the season. And what's going to be cool about what this docuseries, other than just showcasing kind of what happened, is that I'm providing a lot of my insider insight from what I've saw, what I've researched, as much as I can legally say. I won't go too deep from what I know. But basically why I reported this story this way, what I found, things like that, kind of bringing people along the process. And so we're just breaking down everything and then leading up to G6 taking over. So I'll be at the ArenaBowl on Friday, and that'll also kind of cap off the series based on how that goes and how everything happened before the season leading up to the ArenaBowl and what happens next. So that's essentially what that series on. And I'll tell you this, before we start, I didn't realize that there would be so many. I forgot how much happened to the season until I got to editing, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if this is going to be 4 parts. I'll tell you that it might end up being 5. I forgot everything that happened. So I'll do the best I can. But yeah, so a lot went down. But I think,
it's good to be honest. It's a lot, and trying to keep up with it all yourself is a lot as well. All right, I'm gonna play this, and then we'll get back to the conversation.
New tonight, the Arena Football has suspended operations.
It was very depressing to know that this happened, for the simple fact that they cut out what you love to do.
Well, now the league is back under new ownership.
Hi, Lee Hutton, AFL Commissioner. The AFL is back, baby.
There's some questions tonight surrounding the newest version of the Arena Football League.
It was a scam to begin with.
The Arena League's in a bad spot.
Very bad.
There will be a lawsuit coming.
Some guys are stuck here.
Our head coach was not there. He unfortunately had to retire/quit the other day.
Lee needs to answer his phone.
Lee Hutton is nowhere to be found right now.
Lee Hutton III ousted as commissioner of the Arena Football League.
The team is folded and they don't have any money to pay us.
Is your group aware of those claims, and are you planning to address them?
I'd like to extend a formal apology to the Arena Football League community. Getting from season 1 to season 2 is going to be a significant jump for us.
Looks epic, man. Looks good. I mean, it got me excited to watch it, honestly.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's a whole lot went into it. A lot of unreleased interviews. That's why I haven't released a lot of the interviews like how I have been. So I spoke with, I could tell you a couple of interviews, spoke with some Georgia Force players. You saw Chris Chetty there at the end. That was right around when he was first reintroduced to the league. So I plan on catching back up with him on Friday if I can, see if there's anything there. And then there'll also be some surprise guests for people that have covered the league a long time. I think there's one guest that you'll see in there that I think some people will like. He's been around for a while.
I like it, man. I like it. It's very interesting, and I want to know more. Like you got me already, hooked me in.
Yeah, there's so much to it. I'm trying to do everything, include everything I can, for sure.
So, are you doing? When I know you have Arena Insider, you have X1 Media, and then you have your own, professional stuff you do. Is this all you, or do you have a team? Are you solo in most of these projects, or do you have a production team? Do you have, just trying to understand, because I know I do a lot of this on my own, and it's time consuming. So,
yes,
just want to ask.
Yeah, all of this, as far as the writing and the website, and all of this is me. I do have a photographer. Shout out to Jason. He's in Orlando. He takes great photos. He took photos for us for the Predators' recent playoff game. But all in all, it's just me, just maintaining the site. I am thankful for everybody that has supported it or that will continue to repost articles, like my man Javon, Luke Miller has done it, and Off the Wall, all of them. So, and just everybody in between, and just kind of sending me. That's the other thing. So thank you to everybody that sends me news updates and posts and all that, because I try to follow as much as I can, but I do have a day job, so I can't be stuck to Twitter and social media all the time. But yes, I appreciate everyone helping me out and supporting it. And so yeah, just solo.
Hey man, that's a lot, and I know just from what you're doing, the editing portion to make that look good, that's a lot tougher than people imagine. It's not just throwing some stuff in a software and having it spit out your product. It's clipping. It's slow grinding. So much respect. How long is the first part of your docuseries? And I mean, what can we expect moving on in terms of length of time?
Sure. I plan on, I don't want to make each part too long. So I'm at least aiming for 10 minutes. I can tell you I'm still putting some touches on it, just rewatching. And then I'm sending it to a couple people to kind of make sure I'm not convicting before a trial, essentially, in that term, essentially saying, like, I'm not saying anything too crazy about one person legally that'll cause some legal issues. So yeah, just going through the final touches. So yeah, I'm thinking it'll be around 10 minutes for each part. Some parts may be longer, a little bit longer or shorter. But I don't want to, from knowing how YouTube and how people watch, I don't want it to be too long where people tune out. I wanted to make sure, as long as the quality is there, no matter how long and all that is all that will come after. But I want to make sure that the content is important first.
Yes, sir. I respect that. And like I said earlier, I mean, on YouTube, if you can do 20-minute clips tops, you can probably be pretty successful. And that's one of the strikes I have against me is we're doing these hour-long shows, 2-hour-long shows. But
it's
yeah,
tough.
man.
Yeah, once you got to find, as long as you keep people entertained and around and watching it, people will stick around for as long as it is. So
yeah, if they're interested, they're here. If not, they're
exactly.
not. The long form is made for a certain individual. It's not for someone that you want. Yeah, you don't want someone to tell you everything. You want to hear the ups and downs and figure it out for yourself.
Right. Yep.
Man, it's been a good interview. Is there anything else you want to share about the docuseries? I mean, just to kind of rile some people up and get some more interest.
Sure. Well, I'll say this for anyone that's been following the league or has attended a game. I'll tell you all the parts aren't finished. I'm still going through, shifting around. So if you have any video or anything, photos that you take in, feel free to send it over. I'll give you credit, of course. And yeah, just subscribe to our YouTube. It'll be up there on our YouTube. Also on podcasts. So podcasts will usually always post first. For this first part, it'll be on YouTube first, then podcast. But after that, usually podcast is always the first, just because it's quicker to get out. Audio just uploads faster than video. So I'd rather just get it out there and then the video will follow. So so just subscribe to us on that and visit our website, arenainsider.com. And we'll have articles following each episode, all of that, bringing people along the way. And our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Arena Insider, @Carter_TV.
Yes, sir. I'll share your links everywhere and make sure that they're known. I've been running at the bottom throughout the show, but I think at this point you're going to have some more interest, and the more people see what you're putting out, the more people are going to come and watch. So far, you've done a great job, man, and it's really respectable to see this type of reporting. I really wish we had. I mean, we do have this in spring football. We do have some individuals like you, and there's people that they're the people that you see on my show. This is what I'm all about, and I appreciate what you're doing, man. And even if it doesn't pay the bills, just know that everyone can see your professionalism and see what you're doing and putting into it. So it's
absolutely, and thank you. And I appreciate you putting me on your platform and kind of getting it out there. Because the independent journalism is tough. It's tough, and it's hard to get out there, and I'm sure you know that for your end. So any way I can help, and if there's any other independent journalists out there, I'd love to help you out, or we can collab together and do what we can to get our voices. Because media is changing, sports, especially sports media, broadcast media, it's all changing. So we're all just trying to break into it and do what we can to tell a story.
Yes, sir. Agreed with that. And I think in a few years, we're going to see a big revolution in just news in general, whether it be sports, world news, whatever. The small-minded independent people are really the ones that want to do the fair reporting. We're not putting out propaganda. We're not here to bash a league. We're just talking. So that's what I respect most about you, dude. Seriously.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Likewise.
James had one more question. He said, will the AFL return next year?
Yeah, that's the lingering question. Seriously. I think what makes me wonder, because there's part of me that says I can see it happening based on how G6 has handled it. But the other part that makes me question was Zach Bugg's press conference. If anyone hasn't seen it yet, go check that out. I also have an article write-up about that. But he said a lot where it essentially sounded the alarm on the league, where he said a lot of team owners are struggling. A lot of owners, according to him, of course, this is what he's saying. He said that these teams are and what was crazy about it, West Texas was in the mix to make the playoffs. They likely could have made a run in the playoffs, and they shut down operations about a week before the end of the season. So that said a lot to me. And just kind of everything that was going on. And he thinks that the current ArenaBowl, that the management are just trying to make it look good and just trying to save face and instead of giving money back to the owners. So Zach Bug, I think, said a lot that makes me question if these teams will stick around. I think they're seeing what the NAL is adding teams left and right. The IFL is still strong. So I think we see a lot of that, and a lot of what Zach Bug said. I don't think it should be dismissed or ignored. I think he said a lot of damaging information there that it's something to keep an eye out on.
Yes, sir. I just posted the link in the comments, guys at home. You can check that out. I believe that's the interview here. Yeah, it says Desert Hawks owner steps down and more. Is that the one you're referring to?
That's likely it. Yeah. So
I'll tell you, I was surprised about them because I actually had some contact with Zach and the one of the office ladies there. Very nice, very engaging. I tried to get Zach on for an interview, but I think he was a little burnt out by the time I hit him up.
Sure.
I mean, it was after you had done your thing and the team had already been gone. But I was very surprised because they were doing a lot of community service. They were doing a lot of repping of that team in that city. Whenever I talked to them, they were very proud of that team. So I know that from that perspective, they wanted it. So there's got to be a reason why it didn't happen. And usually it comes down to financials. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I have to, while you mentioned Zach Bug, I have to shout out the Nashville Cats ownership group, the ladies that ran it. When I went down to Nashville, initially, well, I can say this now because it happened. I initially went down there to interview Jeff Fisher. He had a scheduling issue where we didn't get that run, but I still interviewed Dean Coquinos. Great guy. Great to talk with him. Good to get his aspect. But how the Nashville ownership group, how they just ran things and were getting things set up. They were all over the place, but making sure we were accommodated to still do the interview. Even towards the end of the interview, they had a lot of their people standing outside the door because they had to set up the VIP area. So that was cool. So it's good to see that. And then, of course, Steven Titus doing what he does in Billings, speaking out for when he did a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago, I should say. And all of that. So it does show that these owners are trying their best, trying their hardest, understanding the situation. And, I think we'll see what happens. So I hope everything works out. I hope we're wrong about everything that the league may or may not shut down. So we'll see.
Well, we shall see, my friend. I appreciate you again coming on tonight. I'll be waiting for you to drop that patiently, the 19th. Did you have a time you're dropping it, or are you just dropping it throughout the day at some point?
So my plan was to release it after the ArenaBowl. So the ArenaBowl is expected to start around 5:30. So my plan, I'm assuming I should have this official date probably by tomorrow, but my best guess it'll be around 9 p.m. Eastern time. That way, by the time the game will end, people can tune into the first part. And then the other parts, my plan is to release each part week after week. But some may be delayed longer than others. So we'll see about that. But so the plan is to drop part 1 on Friday night.
Well, thank you again, Anthony, man. And if there's anything you need along the way, you need something from me, hit me up anytime. I appreciate you coming on tonight. You reached out to me, so you're helping me break some shells here because I've been off for freaking over a month. I mean, it's been so I'm really interested in this topic, so it's easy to jump back into it with that regard.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Yeah, dude.
Anything
else? Anything else? I mean, any future projects besides this or plans for you? I know you said WNBA. That'll be kind of your next project. So.
Yeah, I think after this AFL season, I'll probably just unplug my computer for at least a week. Don't even look at it. Just focus on work. But after that, jumping within WNBA because that's growing and so much is happening with that. And I'll tell you, when I went to the New York Liberty game when they played against, I wish I could remember what team they played against. The way they did it, and it was a sold out crowd, and it was for a Sunday, I believe that was, for it to be sold out was amazing. So, we're just continuing because the goal for X1 Media for me is to give athletes and everything more light than it deserves and make sure it's getting a fair amount of light. considering how much journalism has changed. And I don't want it to give a bad light, just kind of highlighting and telling the story. So, and I think WNBA has had a very unique storyline over the last couple of years or so. So that's the next plans for that. And we'll see what happens with Arena Football League. I do think it'll be a very active offseason with AFL. So I don't think stories will just abruptly stop after ArenaBowl. I think
it ain't that easy.
No. I think I'll keep a close eye out on the wires and everything, because a lot of teams hinted that there are going to be lawsuits against Arena Football Management. So I think it'll be a very active off season. Yeah. We'll see what the teams do.
We'll be watching you, Anthony. Appreciate you again. The Arena Insider, Anthony Carter. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir. Always appreciate you for having me.
Yes, sir. We'll talk again soon.
Yes, sir.
Much respect. All right. Great guest. Appreciate you coming on tonight, Anthony. It was a good conversation. Got me excited to watch the doc. So, guys, the 19th after the ArenaBowl, check out his YouTube, check out his social medias. You'll be able to find that. I'll make sure to share it as well. It's good to get back in the waters and swim a little bit. I do have a show scheduled for next week on the 23rd. Right now, Anthony Miller is coming on to be a guest. I may have someone else join him scheduled depending. We'll talk about the draft, the UFL draft, and then just a little bit about the players and whatnot from there. In terms of future projects for me, we do have some more interviews coming for former athletes and staff within football, people that have written books. There's a lot of stuff that's planned that will be coming. But really, I kind of got burned out over last season or this season, whatever you want to call it. I took the break, much better. I'm going to really try not to just kill myself this time around. So check for at least 1 or 2 podcasts a week. There'll be a few weeks where I skip weeks, but definitely still going to try to stay busy and keep the grind up. If there's any guests that you guys would like to see or anybody that you think would need to have a place on this show or the UFL Insiders, hit me up. I'm available. I'm not scared to tell you no. It's always a pleasure. It's like I said, it's good to get back, man. It's nice. So thank you if you watched. If you watched after the fact, thank you as well. Do me a favor and follow the page. I noticed since I haven't been as active, I lost some followers, which it is what it is, but it's okay. I do it for the love, and the other guys and girls within AFN do it for the love as well. It's just been a long season. With the merger, I felt like we never really got a break. It was just back to back to back to back. So it's good that things will hopefully be normal for the UFL. In terms of the other arena and indoor leagues, we're just going to try to just have some discussion. Like I said, I don't want to get people in here just to bash a league, but there are matters that are coming up that people want to talk about, that they've had some negativity within these leagues. And I mean players especially. So, and I don't mean the AFL when I say that. Don't take that as that at all. It's definitely a different league. So check for interviews soon. As always, I'll post them a couple days ahead of time and let everyone know. Yeah, it's good to be back. And thank you again for watching. If you did, like I said, do me a favor, like, follow, share. If you have some feedback, hit me up anytime. It's fun, guys. It keeps me going. So thank you. Thanks again for watching. I'm Matthew Tyler, and that's it for me. Peace out.
Go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go home, go hard, go home. Touchdown like an end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard.